It's coming up to 12:30 and the last hour has indeed been action-packed. Here we're looking at the north, which an hour ago looked comfortable for the French, but the superior numbers are beginning to show. Let's sort of step back and give you an overview. This has all happened quite quickly. You can see this area over here. Okay, now the defensive forces that were here, French forces, have just been driven away. There was just the Prussians weren't getting anywhere, and they just launched a massive attack, overrun the guns, knocked the French back. They haven't managed to get into Mokhtar, but that's about the only thing the French forces there currently hold. You can see Prussians bringing up their guns. You can see here where the breaks come through. We've got all these double markers show that these are routed units, not just disorganised. They were doing quite well against the Russians for a while, but with that big hole over there, they've had to pull back. So they've been pretty good at holding the Russian line along this stream here. But you can see the Russians are beginning to get across now. This one guy, this guy here has been incredibly good at holding back the tide, but he's a bit isolated now. Over here, the French have tried to bring round these units here to threaten a flank, try and slow down this advance, which to buy them enough time to reorganise their line, which may or may not happen. There are all these Cossacks over here. They're currently out of command, so well, we'll see what happens there. So they need to get back into command, but we can see there that has really gone not very well. I mean, there's lots of disorganised units, but if you look at the Allies, these units are disorganised, not routed. They should come back. Not the case for a lot of the units here. You can see some have already got as far as that, so they're trying to pull back for the line there. I mean, it's true about the whole battlefield at the moment. All the troops are just absolutely exhausted. Okay, got fatigue very high, which makes a lot of the combats fire as well quite dicey. Makes it quite difficult to attack generally because you have to face defensive fire first. And if your morale's low, you're more likely to fail and move back. Right here, the Austrians have just pulled back. They weren't having any success against these guys here at all, so they just pulled back. Not a lot happening there. The Young Guard arrived at Kotowitz and have made an immediate impact. You can actually see there are no Russian or Austrian troops north of the Plessis River here at all now. They've just been driven back, and you can see them here, absolute disarray. The Young Guard has come in here and just absolutely smashed them. They were quite weary, you can see with the fatigue. They had a few, even though quite large units, a lot of them, they had quite a lot of casualties. So that first part of the strategy Napoleon's strategy to try and stabilise this front was to smash these guys across here. Hopefully, well, we can see what's going to go on, but probably won't chase them across. But if the Polish troops can get their act together and set up another defensive line here, maybe using some of the guns from the Young Guards. The French have lost a lot of guns, probably due to my poor play, really. I'm obviously no Napoleon. Moving along, we can see, remember the original French line was here, sort of here, and you can see that's been pushed back. And we have the cavalry, brought up the guns, pounding these lines. We have all these guys in disarray at the back here. Majority of them are from Victor's corps, but there's also a fair bit from Marmont's corps as well back there. And we see the Old Guard are coming up to hold the line. Now, the basic strategy they want, if I lean back here, is what Napoleon wants to do, is neutralise these and then set up a new line here. Okay, and hopefully defend. I mean, they're on the back foot at the moment, Napoleon, but all these units also have had a lot of stress. Plus, we can see again, we have the same problem that fatigue has crept up, so taking those shots when you're fatigued, that defensive fire shots can completely disrupt your attack. So I think there might be a general pause soon. We'll have to see. Both sides think there's something to go for. Like, we'll go back over there. I mean, it seems definitely a good idea for the Allies to keep pushing on, though I'll have a little think about that. Over here, though, obviously the Guard units, the Young Guard units are relatively fresh. They're quite good. But if we move along here, these guys are looking poorly. I mean, there's some good guys here, but there's hardly any artillery left here. There's a long, slow process of the artillery that's come all the long way around. Oh, there's one there. There should be some other somewhere else as well. Maybe they're, what have we done with them? Anyway, they're there somewhere. Can't see them at the moment. Anyway, there's another lot of those somewhere. That's like, oh sorry, they're Prussians, of course. They're here, look, moving along, which is going to make it quite tricky. Over here, Napoleon's initial great plan has just sort of fallen apart, really. The arrival of the Austrians blooded the 9th or 11th Corps, I forget who that was now. It's the, where are we? Okay, the 9th Corps. And they just pulled back. They just pulled back. I mean, the Guard was just throwing itself against the cannon. I mean, these have been, you know, there's quite a few units lost down here, but they're still holding. But with the Austrians there, and guys sort of coming back into good order. Even the Cossacks, who were lost a few off the end of the board here, have come back and have been threatening the guys around Sturmfell. And you can see that the, I forget what that was, who's that now? Kellerman's cavalry corps have moved back. So if I sort of get back, so I'm against this wall, it's a very tight room, this is the idea of Napoleon's to bring the line back and bring another line across here. I mean, there's a bit of a concern about that over there. There are no reserves. There is definitely no spare units Napoleon has at the moment to bring in. The Allies, well, they've pretty much committed most of their forces as well. You know, as bad as this is here for the Reserve Corps, they can sort of pull back here. There's no way the French are going to chase them over here, so they can just go back there and recover. Maybe better for tomorrow, or maybe even later in the day if they can recover. Threaten the flank of the line here. Not too sure about that. We've got a few French units in square. I think one's just been broken here again with the cannon coming up. It's very hard over here for the French to do anything back. I'm hoping that with this area stabilised, we've got 2nd Cavalry Corps sort of they had to come in early to blunt these guys breaking out. They can come back here, but they're going to have a hard job standing toe to toe with the Guard cavalry. But the Old Guard's coming up. They've got a bit of cannon. It's a fair bit of cannon here, which you might have to lend across. This guy here, still pretty safe. No offence, he's knocking him out of there, but he's slowly getting surrounded. Loznig, that's just been cleared. Well, actually, the unit suffered casualties and eliminators, mutual casualty loss, so it hasn't been able to take it in there at the moment. Go in there and take it over. But we can see quite an epic couple of turns. We've got a few corps getting close to demoralisation. But they're, you know, they're pretty big units on the whole, and they're quite tough. So look across the battlefield there, it is indeed an epic battle. These turns are taking quite, well, the last 2 hours have taken me quite a lot of time, a lot of thinking time as well as playing time. I think the next turn or two is going to be a little bit simpler. I think this is a case of the French pulling back, probably to this river line here, and trying to set up some sort of defence. Probably pursued by the Russians. I'm not sure the Prussians are in a good enough state to really pursue anyone, but possibly think about that. Not a lot happening here, although we might throw out, you know, the Austrians might have a go at the moment. We can see that the garrison at Leipzig has moved over here to the north to obviously make sure there's no cavalry coming rushing along there. We don't want the Cossacks sweeping in when no one's looking. Back here then, well, like we say, sweep these back, install the Polish division there, set up a defensive line here, which I think we can do. There's some pretty good units here. The problem is that the Allies have the advantage. They've got the cavalry and they've got the guns, and that's just a difficult situation for them to do. So unless they can get some cavalry or some of their own cannon across, that looks pretty difficult. Not sure what we're going to do with the Russians, but obviously with these guys moving back, the Russians can do their original goal, which was to take hold of the Galgenberg. Hopefully stretch the French line out that way, which would be, let's stretch them out. We've got more numbers. The Guard cavalry is still dangerous, but they do need infantry support to achieve anything. Infantry, well, it sort of regained itself, but it's not really a match for the Austrians at the moment. Keep thinking about these guys, bringing them back in, but there's no way they can recover from their demoralised status, so they're pretty much gonna stay there. There's no more reinforcements due in. Well, not till later on. So we look at here the 15th. We've got not to. Sorry, the 16th. They've all come in. That's the French. There's a few more bits and pieces coming in for the. Well, there's another guy's coming in at the 3 o'clock Russian Corps from the Hull map, which is all the way over there. Quick look at the loss sheets. See how we're getting on. It's my turn record. We can see that, you know, the Prussian Corps taking a fair bit. York's Prussians, they're sort of doing okay. Kleist's Prussians, yeah, they're sort of hanging on in there. Langerhans, they've not had too many problems so far. We can see here that the reserves have taken quite a lot of damage to some of their better units. Okay, these are good guys, those Prussian guys there. And there's the Austrian, they pretty much beat really. As to the French, we can see that there's Victor's Corps looking in quite a bad way, and so is Lauriston's Corps as well. Everyone else, apart from, look at all the loss of this artillery, that's my fault really. And the Young Guard are looking pretty well spent. So they're the Young Guard that went in originally. They were the ones that were, not the new lot that come in, they were the ones that are trying to defend between these two areas here, and they're currently over sort of here, licking their wounds. You can see they're on high fatigue before we send them back in, but they've taken a lot of brunt, but they have stopped the Allied breakout, which is their main job. And what we've got going on in this page, we can see that the Polish Corps, yeah, not looking great. McDonald's okay. Few here, these did okay. That's 9th Corps, they're the ones that are right over. They're the ones that got a bit of a mauling by the Austrians when they tried to come across. And we can see Pageau's cavalry's not looking particularly good as well. Actually, that's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 at the moment, because there's 2 guys there, and of course these guys haven't come on yet. Okay, so there we go. Just coming up to 12:30. I think probably the next couple of turns will be relatively quick, because no one really has the oomph to really push on yet, apart from those Young Guard. Okay.